Want to learn more about strength training? Well, throw on your sweats because we're going to muscle our way to the core definition of this kind of exercise. And I've got just the right person whose gym flex is no joke. Shameless puns aside, strength training can be a little confusing. So my colleague Gretchen Reynolds is here to demystify what it takes to build muscle and strength. She's a longtime health and exercise columnist on the well-being team here at the Washington Post. And she has done it all. And as it turns out, strength training is a lot easier than you might think. One might even say it's not a heavy lift. Okay, that's the last one. I promise. Let's try this. Hey, welcome to Try This from the Washington Post. Try This is a show that offers concise, vetted solutions to navigate life's common challenges. I'm Cristina Quinn, and I'm learning with you per usual. And this time, we're going to work up a sweat, or at least talk about working up a sweat.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Reynolds. I'm a columnist for the well-being section of the Washington Post, and I write about fitness and exercise science.
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi, Christina.
It's so nice to meet you.
And ditto. Thanks for having me on.
We need your wisdom here so we can be healthier and stronger, because it does seem like strength training has really made its way into the mainstream when it comes to fitness. It's not just targeted towards people who are bodybuilders or athletes. It's sort of like, no, everybody should be strength training.
There is definitely a lot of interest in strength training, but the reality is, according to the most recent statistics from the CDC, 80% of people never do any weight training. It still is a pretty uncommon form of exercise. And for a lot of people, it's very intimidating. They're not sure how to do it. They're not sure why to do it. They're not sure whether they can do it. So as I said, I think there's a lot of interest. So far, there's not a lot of participation, but it's probably the single best thing that you can do for your health and longevity.
Even more so than aerobic exercising.
Well, you need to do both, but the issue is most of us don't weight train and most of us don't understand what we can get out of it.
What exactly is strength training? Like, how would you define it?
Well, strength training, as it's usually defined by exercise scientists, is basically any kind of exercise that loads your muscles against some kind of resistance. And that basically means weight. It basically means lifting a weight. I wouldn't call it bodybuilding because, again, that's a very specific sport. Right. But otherwise, all it means is that you're asking your muscles to do some work. And the more work you ask them to do, the better they get at doing it, the better and stronger and slightly bigger they get.
Well, so yeah, let's talk about that, because resistance exercise is essentially using your own body weight for strength training, correct?
It's using any weight. That's one of the many things that people misunderstand is your body could care less what kind of weight you're using, whether it's a machine at the gym, whether it's lifting a carton of milk, whether it's doing push-ups. It's all the same to your body.
Interesting.
Yeah, your muscles just recognize that as load. It means that your muscles will start contracting to deal with the load. It doesn't matter what that load is. That's why strength training, resistance exercise, whatever you want to call it, can be so easy because any kind of weight anywhere will work. All it means is you are loading a muscle so it contracts, and your brain looks at that and says, next time we need to be able to handle that load a little better, and starts adding some mass, adding strength. Basically, in a nutshell, that's weight training. You slightly overload your muscles just a little bit. Next time they can handle it better. And that's what your body will do.
Okay, so why is it important for us to do that? Like, what if I already run and I'm super active?
What a lot of us probably don't understand is that by the time you get into your 30s, you're starting to lose both strength and muscle mass if you don't do any weight training. And that's even if, like me, if you're a runner or a cyclist or do aerobic exercise, keep that up, but it will not ensure that you stay strong and that you build muscle mass. You just have to do some resistance exercise.
Are there certain muscle groups that we should be targeting? Or what are the main muscle groups you should focus on in your strength training?
Think simplicity. It's basically upper body, middle body, lower body. So your shoulder, you want to try and work your shoulders and your arms. That's your biceps and triceps. You want to try and work your core and your lower back. And you want to work your legs. And that would include the hamstrings at the back of your thighs, the quads at the front, the calf muscles. All of that, though, if you do almost anything, it's going to work bundles of those muscles. If you do a push-up, that works your whole upper body. It works your core. It works at least some of your lower body muscles. You do a squat, that's working almost all of the lower body and core muscles. Mm-hmm. And by the way, squats and any of these exercises are one of the very best things that you can do for your joints. Many people might worry that some of these exercises or that weight training in general is bad for things like your knees, your shoulders. The opposite is true. If you do it correctly, it strengthens and stabilizes all of the muscles around your joints, and that makes the joints much healthier. One of the best things you can do for sore knees is squats. So don't be intimidated. Even if you have some sore joints, doing this kind of weight training will almost certainly be good for them.
I think we need to hear that more because I think when people start doing something and they're like, wow, everything hurts, that can be a little scary, right? Like, oh, I'm feeling sore in places I didn't know existed. But that actually could be a good sign, right?
Yes, I'm sorry to tell you that, but part of what does happen when you slightly overload your muscles is they will get a little bit sore. They should not be really painful. If you're feeling true pain, then just stop and see a doctor. But they will get a little sore. There's not a whole lot to do about that. But one thing that you can do that may slightly minimize that is make sure you're getting enough protein, because our bodies do use protein to rebuild muscle. There's a bit of a craze around protein. Most of us can probably get plenty just from our normal diet, but just make sure that you're getting protein at every meal, especially if you do start a new program of weight training. Your muscles do need it. They don't need huge amounts of it, but just, again, try to get some at every meal and you should be fine.
Okay, so then how would somebody begin? Like if you were talking to somebody, they're like, oh, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to start. What would you tell them?
What I have found from talking to a lot of experts who study resistance training a lot is that the single biggest impediment for people, there really are two. The biggest is probably that they think weight training is just so complicated, they can't possibly do it. And the second is they don't think they have enough time. So a lot of scientists have been looking at what is the smallest amount of weight training that we can do, those of us who are ordinary, who never want to be Olympic lifters, never want to be bodybuilders, who just want to be healthy. What is the least amount that we can do and really get benefits? And I wrote about a study recently that was the whole point of the study is what is the absolute minimum amount of weight training that we can do and really get both stronger and bigger? Mm-hmm. Whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, whether you're 85, whether you're 16, everyone can build strength and mass with what turns out to be a really small amount of weight training.
how long are we talking? Like, what is the bare minimum? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, I'm that friend. In this case, it was a study that looked at people who already were experienced weight trainers, and it actually had them reduce the amount of training that they were doing to see if they could still benefit. And what they found was going to the gym, and in this case, it was in the gym, twice a week for about half an hour each time was plenty. And the people did 9 really simple, basic machine exercises. You could find very similar machines in any gym. They did 1 set. And for someone who doesn't know what a set is, all that means is how many times you lift a weight before you stop. And in this case, again, they did 1 set. They lifted the weights for about 10 times until their arms, legs, whatever they were working, were really tired. They could probably have lifted 1 or 2 more times, but not more than that. And that, if you want to know gym lingo, that means they got very close to failure. That means they got very close to the point where they couldn't lift more.
Right.
And that's really good for building strength and mass. 9 exercises, lifting the weights 10 times, they were out the door in half an hour. And they all gained a considerable amount of both strength and mass. And that was men and women. They weren't all young. It can work for pretty much any of us.
That's incredible. So 1 hour. So that's 2 30-minute workouts involving 1 set of a number of strength resistance exercises. So it could be 10 times of curls, then maybe 10 push-ups. Like any sort of resistance exercise, if you did 10 each, and that added up to 30 minutes, and you do that twice a week, that's all you need to do to build and maintain muscle.
That is what this showed, with the caveat that when it starts to get easy to do something 10 times, you're probably going to either need to add some weight or increase the number of times you do it. You do want to keep loading the muscles, and when something gets too easy, that's progressive resistance. You add a little bit more. But yes, in this case, and this study is very representative of a lot of other studies out there right now, it showed that a very small amount of lifting, in this case using machines, you could just as easily do it at home with body weight, was plenty for people to get stronger and a little bit bigger. So the real point to me, and this matters to me because I will admit I don't love weight training. I'm mostly a runner. I'm really happy to know how little I can do.
Right. The bare minimum is nice to hear. It's nice to hear that it seems attainable and manageable.
It's pretty much my workout. At this point, I go to the gym, my little local, very friendly gym, twice a week. And once a week, I do some body weight exercises. And that's plenty. If you do that much, if you do even close to that much, you are going to get stronger and you will add mass. But if you get really busy, if, life sneaks up on you, then find 5 minutes in your schedule and do a few push-ups, do a couple of squats. That's fine. Try and find another 5 minutes later in the day and do another few squats, do a plank, do anything. Your body doesn't care. It's all cumulative. You don't have to go to the gym. Anything will help, and you can find ways to fit it into your life. We all can.
Yeah.
It's a great way to break up the workday. Even going up and down stairs can count as weight training if you do it fast. It's good for your legs.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so we can all do it. There really is no excuse. You've written about the 7-minute workout, which was created by a physiologist, and it includes a bunch of exercises that work out different parts of the body. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
I think it's great. I'm a huge fan. And the 7-minute workout is a great way to do both some resistance training and also a little bit of aerobic works in a really short period of time. It's a good introduction to a number of body weight exercises. And I have all my family and friends do it. I think it's a good introduction to this whole area of how to get stronger in a really short period of time.
The 7-minute workout features 30 seconds of exercises that use your own body weight. We're talking jumping jacks and push-ups, capped with 5 seconds of rest. You can watch the 7-minute workout and follow along on the Post's website. When we come back, we'll learn more about strength training, why it's so essential for us as we age, and Gretchen will teach us some moves and tips to start us on our strength training journey. So, okay, this clarifies a lot of things. And this also sort of opens up a lot more opportunities for us to bring in strength training into our lives, no matter where we are and no matter what state of fitness we may be in.
One of the things that I hope to do in my role at the Post is to reassure people that weight training, or whatever you want to call it, does not have to be intimidating. It does not have to be complicated. It does not have to involve a gym. It does not have to involve these really weird exercises like Bulgarian split squats that just sound terrible. It can and should be really simple because all it requires is that you use your muscles.
You know what's funny? To your point, some years ago, I met a woman who just started doing squats. She's like, every time I go to the bathroom, like after I wash my hands, I stay in the bathroom and do 10 squats. She's like, and that adds up over the day. And I was just like, oh, that's a pretty good tip. Sort of unexpected, but she works in an office. And so she would go to the bathroom and do 10 squats every time she went to the bathroom throughout the day. And that little sort of like micro workout sort of stayed with me. And it sounds like you're suggesting something similar, just in terms of like finding little pockets of time in your day to do it.
Absolutely. Again, all of this is cumulative. Your body doesn't care if you do it all in a half-hour jaunt to the gym. You can do it anytime, anywhere. And your story about that brings up one of the really important reasons to weight train, which is that it will allow us to keep doing some of the absolutely basic things that we take for granted right now and that become harder and harder as we get older and if we lose strength and muscle mass. And it's not a joke. If you have older, elderly relatives, it can become a struggle to stand up from the toilet if you don't have muscles. You can't lift your groceries out of the car. You can't get up out of a chair. Those are pretty much all squats that we're talking about.
Right.
The more muscle and strength that people lose, there's very good evidence that that's a pretty good marker of how long they'll live and whether they'll remain independent. The less strength you have, the more likely you are to die somewhat younger. The more strength you have, the longer you can stay independent. Right. And I know that's really hard for a 35-year-old to believe, but what most of the scientists I talk to say is look at weight training as a kind of retirement account that you start now for your muscles. You are building reserve because we will lose muscle. Even if you're doing weight training, you lose some. But you start from a much higher level, you lose it much slower, you stay much stronger, much longer, and that changes the arc of how you age.
I love it. So strength training is a 401k for your muscles in the future and just your overall health. So, I mean, you just listed some risk factors. I mean, what else is at stake? You said muscle loss, but what else can happen to your body? Will things break down in other ways?
Yeah, well, you lose mobility, obviously. That's what muscle does for us, is allow us to move. But muscle is also our body's sugar sink. That means it's where we store an awful lot of the sugar that is otherwise in our blood. So having a fair amount of muscle really helps you keep blood sugar level, which really reduces your risks for diabetes, insulin resistance, all kinds of other metabolic disorders. It's really good to have muscle. Weight training is the key to longevity, that it really is important to how well you will age. And so both for us, and if you have a mother, father, grandmother, see if you can get them started doing anything. And again, even if that means have them lift up the milk carton a few times, that will make a difference. And it can be an entry point to doing more. And I've gotten everyone that I know to start doing push-ups. So
that's awesome.
So I'm a push-up evangelist, and that includes people in their 70s. So it's never too late.
It's never too late, and it's never too early.
Nope. Start doing something.
Okay, so let's actually sort of back it up a little bit. I mean, what age should you start strength training? I have 2 daughters, and I think that they're stronger at now than I ever was at their ages, and which is great. And I keep telling them, like, stay with it, stay strong. Sometimes we'll do exercises together. So yeah, what do you say? I mean, what age should you start strength training?
Children of any age can do strength training. I probably wouldn't take them to the gym and have them do machines because, frankly, it can be boring. But there's no reason at all for them not to be doing all kinds of body weight training just as fun. We have one of our 7-minute workouts is for parents and kids to do together.
Yes.
And it's basically weight training,
right,
with a little bit of aerobic work too. Again, there's just no evidence that people of any age, from childhood all the way up to centenarians, can't do some kind of weight training and won't benefit. Our bodies never stop or never too young to get stronger.
If you were to start from day 0, meaning now, what are the top 3 things you would do or tell someone they should consider?
Well, the first thing I would say is, do you want to join a gym? Some people do, some people don't, and it's perfectly fine either way. The good thing about gyms is the machines, once someone has explained them to you, are really self-evident. They're not hard to understand. Have a trainer or someone show you how to do 6 to 8 exercises on the machines that work your whole body. And that's really easy to do. It's a good idea to have someone show you how to do it correctly.
Absolutely.
If you don't want to join a gym, if you find it either intimidating, time-consuming, expensive, then it's perfectly fine to do body weight exercises in your living room. You'll get a full body, completely fine workout. You do need to find a mix of exercises that target the upper body, the core, and the lower body. But that can be 4 exercises, honestly, if you're doing push-ups, squats. If you have access to a pull-up bar, that's great.
Oh.
I can't do a full pull-up.
I cannot either. That to me seems like that's like the holy grail of strength training for me. It's just the upper body exercises are tough.
But even if you have access to a pull-up bar, even hanging from it with your feet off the ground will build strength. It'll build grip strength. It'll make your shoulders and arms stronger. Anything will work. You can also find good information on places like YouTube, but I would strongly recommend that you look for people who have either PhD or AT after their name. That means that they're either a doctor of exercise science or that they have studied as an athletic trainer. And those people have good academic credentials. Anyone can call themselves a personal trainer, and some are great. Some are not. So you do need to use good judgment, look for credentials. Ask your friends who have been weight training if they have a good trainer or if they could show you how to do some exercises. Most of them are not that hard, but you do want good form so you don't injure yourself.
Right. No injuries. I certainly don't want to injure myself. We don't want people to get injured. Could you walk us through how to do some of your favorite strength training exercise moves?
Sure. And these will be body weight ones, not ones that you use a machine for. These are some that I do in my rather puny little body weight sessions once a week. But I have to say, I love push-ups. I rediscovered push-ups during the pandemic, and I didn't think that I would be able to do a push-up. And a lot of women think they can't. But I found out I could do full push-ups, and I could, over time, do a lot more of them than I thought I could. And it's just a fantastic exercise for your shoulders, your arms, your back, and your sense of self-worth. It's really great.
Do you do it on your feet?
I do full push-ups.
Wow.
And most of the experts that I've talked to said, try if you can, to do the full push-up. You then are pushing up more weight. You're getting a much more of a workout for your core. If you find a push-up really hard, most of the physiologists I've talked to said start with wall push-ups, which basically means you just stand about an arm's length away from a wall with your arms straight, and then bend your elbows until your chin is practically against the wall, and push yourself off back up straight. And that will start building the kind of strength in your arms, your wrists, your shoulders that you need to start doing a full push-up.
Okay.
And then that's basically the same movement that you do in a full push-up, but you just start on the ground, laying down on the rug, or I usually start up. I start with my arms straight, and you're basically in a full plank position with your hands pretty much under your shoulders, up on your toes, and you just bend your elbows until your chest and your chin are close to the ground, and push back up. Try and keep your back straight. Try and, as they say, activate your core, which basically that means pull in your gut and activate your butt cheeks. And that's how you activate your core. And that also helps you keep your back straight. And that's a push-up. It's really a very basic movement.
How many do you do?
Honestly, I do 40 now. So, but that's in sets.
Wait a minute. 40 push-ups? So wait a minute. Are you doing 4 sets of 10, or are you doing 40 in a row?
No, I do 1 set of 20, then I do 2 sets of 10. So,
Gretchen, you're so cool.
Now, again, I have been doing this for a while, and I've now been doing this since the pandemic. So I started and I could do 2. And it's, one of the things that I've been putting time into, and it makes me feel really proud of myself. So
you should be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you. I am.
I'm
proud of you.
Nobody's
We
idea
just
of
met,
an
and
Amazon.
I'm proud of you.
Most people with a little bit of time can do a push-up. The same with squats. A squat is a really basic movement. It's just primal. We do them all the time. But to do a formal squat, if you just stand up straight, keep your legs, your feet are a little bit apart and pointed just a little bit out. Your toes pointed just a little bit out, because that takes some of the pressure off your knees. Hold your arms out straight in front of you, and just with your back straight, squat down. Squat down until your thighs are pretty much parallel with the ground. If you're really advanced at this, you can go lower, but you don't really need to. Make sure your back is straight, that your knees aren't way out over your toes. They should be sort of even with your toes. Stand back up. You can do it as slowly as you want. You can do it with your back against the wall, which is a really good way to get your form correct, and also can make it a little bit easier. You can also do chair squats, which is basically what your friend was talking about on the toilet.
Oh, no, she wasn't doing it on the toilet. Just so we're clear. No. She was just using the privacy of the bathroom space. That's funny, Gretchen. Oh, my goodness. All this time I was like, she just kept squatting up and down on the toilet.
But she can. That's called a chair squat, and it's a perfectly good way to do squats. And also, if you're in your office, all you do is stand up from your chair, sit back down, just really quickly stand back up again. Those are chair squats, and it's a very good way to get in some of the movement in a small area. And also, if you have trouble doing a full squat, then do chair squats until your legs are stronger and you can do the full version.
Okay, that's fair. Though I have to say now, everyone's back in the office now. So could you just imagine looking over and someone just keeps getting up and down? Like, does my colleague have some sort of compulsive problem with her chair? But no, they just listened to try this. And they're like, I'm just doing what Gretchen told me. I think motivation is sort of a hard thing for some people. You know, it's one thing to get started and you're like, okay, I'm doing the thing. But how do you sustain your motivation?
Well, one nice thing, for what it's worth, is you start to get strong really quickly. You get strong well before you start adding muscle mass, because strength also involves your brain. It actually involves your brain starting to send a signal to your muscles to contract faster. So once you start weight training, you will get stronger very quickly. And to me, that's motivating. I realized at one point that I was having trouble lifting my luggage into the overhead bin when I was on an airplane. And now I can lift it really easily. Yes. And things like that do motivate me. There can be something really powerful about thinking that you couldn't do something and now you can. That's self-efficacy. And you do get a lot of self-efficacy from starting to weight train. I also just set a schedule for myself. On Tuesdays and Fridays, I go to the gym. On Sundays, I do body weight. Having a schedule can be really motivating, actually. Mm-hmm. Having a buddy that you do it with can be really important for a lot of us. And it also can make it more fun. Yes. And this might sound facetious, but all of the science is very clear that the main thing that keeps people sticking to any exercise routine is that they enjoy it. So find some kind of resistance exercise that you think is fun, that makes you feel better about yourself, and that is how you will stick to it. And again, to me, it's so gratifying to realize that I am getting stronger, that I can help my husband around the house a lot more than I could before. Mm-hmm. We were doing some home renovations, and I could actually help him, break up the tile.
Nice.
I'm not sure I could do that if I weren't going to the
gym.
Look
at you, Gretchen. Hulk smash all the way.
Exactly. It changes how you feel about yourself, and it changes how you interact with the world when you feel stronger. I didn't love weight training. But I do now.
Well, Gretchen, you're the best. This was really fun. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me.
You can follow Gretchen for more fitness wisdom and advice by signing up for the Wellbeing newsletter. You can also check out the Post's 7-minute workout page at washingtonpost.com/wellbeing. Gretchen Reynolds is not only a great colleague of mine here at the Washington Post, she is one of my favorite Post writers. Her reporting on the science of exercise is some of the best that's out there. This is the kind of journalism you support when you become a Washington Post subscriber. If you don't yet subscribe, the Post's Labor Day sale is still running until September 15th, and it's an incredible deal. You can get our core subscription for just $20 for an entire year. That's billed as a single $20 payment for the first year. It renews at $120 per year thereafter. You can cancel anytime. Go to washingtonpost.com/subscribe. That's washingtonpost.com/subscribe. There's also a link in our show notes. Thank you, and thanks for listening. This episode of Try This is produced and hosted by me, Cristina Quinn, and Taylor White. Charla Freeland also produced video of this episode, which you can find on YouTube. The episode was edited by Kanyakrit Von Kajorn and Thomas Liu. Sound design and mixing is by Sam Baer. Theme music is by Catherine Anderson. Show art is by Kati Huertas. Find our courses on how to get better sleep, making the most of your friendships, demystifying gut health, and how to break free from your dopamine addiction, right here on the Try This feed. Thanks for listening.